The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome back to another episode of the 15-Point Plan podcast. My name is Ryan Greigg, and I'm here with Jacqueline Smith. Jacqueline, you were waiting for some big intro, some amazing description of the incredible, amazing, outstanding Jacqueline Smith, but I let you down this time because in the past episodes, I always have something cool because you're such an incredible human.
So you're doing it again. You're doing it. Help it.
This is a podcast otherwise known as my sometimes personal coaching channel where I get the cool opportunity to spend 15 to 20 minutes with Jacqueline every week. But what we really talk about amongst that is this idea of our 15-point plan. And all it is really is a system. It's a system that will help us increase our energy and reduce our stress levels. And today we're talking about something that I know for sure reduces my stress levels, Jacqueline. Mm-hmm. And it's hobbies, right? It's our hobbies.
It is hobbies, and it does reduce stress. And, when I first started doing the 15-point plan years ago, I think it was in like 2017, I did not have hobbies. Isn't that crazy? I really hardly ever got the hobby point, Ryan.
Why do you think that was, or what? Now, looking back on it now, what prevented you from doing your hobbies?
I worked all the time, and I thought that hobbies were unproductive, and I just didn't have any. I had not, I had been a single mom and then a mom, raised 4 boys, was in business, and I mean, ain't nobody got time for that, I was busy with everyone else's hobbies. And I think a lot of parents and people, adults, I guess it's maybe part of being an adult. A lot of us, like, we don't prioritize ourselves and our hobbies, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're exactly right. And that would probably be some of the top 3 reasons why most people don't do their hobbies. Number 1, we feel like they're unproductive. We should be working. Mm-hmm. Number 2, we just don't have any, but that might just fall back into category number 1 or number 2 or 3 of we just haven't thought about it for a while. Or lastly, we just don't have the time. Dang it, I should be hustling.
That's been a big one for me. And I'm still in that, like this subtle belief, I guess, that like I am valuable when I'm useful, or I am valuable when I'm productive. And I think one of the things that helped me get hobbies is when I did some research and realized that hobbies can actually help me be more useful and productive. So I don't know that I quite shifted my that identity that's kind of wrapped up in that. I just was like, oh, hobbies will make me productive. Well, then I need to get a hobby, So it's just an interesting topic and why this came up, just for our listeners, is I'm reading this book. I mentioned it on either the past episode or the one before. It's called Big Trust. And this came up in the book, and it really got me thinking. And it was how hobbies can actually help us improve our self-worth. And in my life, I've really struggled with my self-worth. Am I enough? I think a lot of people do. I don't know. I tell myself a lot of people do. It makes me feel better. So as a way of improving my self-worth, it was an interesting thing to hear that, a hobby could improve our self-worth. And there's research around it that, for one, it's helping you have maybe more of a well-rounded view of yourself. Like, you're not, your occupation, or you're not your career. You are much more than your career, or much more than even, in your case, like a mountain climber. Like you're a lot of things, right? And so our hobbies are a way for us to expand our identity and who we are and who we identify as, I think, was the gist of it.
Yeah, I think it's such a good point. Do you watch the TV show Shrinking by chance?
I have watched that show and I totally forgot about it until you just brought it up. It's
Um, so season 3 just came out, and I really enjoy that show. I really enjoy Harrison Ford's character, and without like spoiling the show for anybody that hasn't watched it, he's been a therapist like most of his life, and he gets to a point. Again, I won't spoil it, but he gets to a point where he can no longer do that, and he really, really has issues with it because it's created his identity. And when he gets to the point where he's not doing it any longer, he doesn't know what to do with his life. And I see that and I think, gosh, that must be so hard to work so hard on something in your life. But then if you can't do that any longer or that thing goes away, then what? And have we maybe given up so many passions throughout our life? And that's the important of these hobbies. It's because it's doing things that we love and not just things that attach a self-worth to us, like in real estate, for example. Oh, like I'm a great person, or maybe not that. Like I have value, I'm
Yeah.
important because I sell a lot of real estate. Well, what if you did that for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years and then all of a sudden you don't do it anymore? What's going to happen to your self-worth in your head? Going back to our previous episode on the influences that we influence ourself with is how we talk to ourself and how we categorize ourself and how we find our self-worth. So I
Yeah.
thought that was a really good example of somebody that has attached their whole life's meaning to their work.
Mhm.
And hobbies are a great way to take some of that pressure off and remind ourselves there's things that we can do in our life that we really love to do. And if we look at the 15-point plan and we think, well, one of the missions behind this podcast and of the system that we have is to give us more energy and reduce stress. Well, I don't know about you, but some of the hobbies that I do 100% reduce my stress level, which then allows me to recover and recuperate and regain more energy so that I can have more energy and I can perform better at the things that I do. For example, like gardening. Like the spring weather's coming and I look at my backyard and I love spending just a couple hours out in the garden and being outside and working in my yard. And then I come back in and I eat some dinner and I just feel good and I feel less stress and I sleep better.
Yeah. Part of that's probably because I hear there's some things tied to like playing in the dirt too. Um, but it's really good for your nervous system. I think like um there's this so when I was reading about this, there was something that I read that was interesting and it said that people who tie their worth to performance or achievement, they have increased anxiety, emotional volatility, and burnout, and that hobbies actually reduce your cortisol.
Hmm.
So there's studies like that show that they reduce your cortisol, which is like, I don't know a ton about it, but it's like a stress hormone, I
Yeah.
believe. And then also that hobbies are one of the few places that adults regularly experience worth that is not conditional.
So what does that mean? Experiencing worth that's not conditional. Well,
So
let's
it's
go
not
deeper
like
on it.
conditioned on like what you were just saying, like on how many houses I sell or on how I perform at work, the things that I'm accomplishing. My chickens, like so my hobbies, I like, hanging out with my chickens, which I have not been doing very much lately, I'll be honest. I mean,
Huh.
it's not as fun when it's raining out, and they're
Right.
all like muddy. But um I have hobbies and you know my chickens don't care how many houses I sell. Like playing with my
Mhm.
cat, Scoot, he don't care how many houses I sold today. He's just like, play with me in my tunnel, and he loves me, and it's unconditional. And so I think that, when we're at work and we're really focused on our achievement and all of that. It's just basically saying that like our hobbies are a place where as adults we can kind of be kids again. We can be maybe not be so focused on all our responsibilities and on achieving things constantly.
That's a really good point. Yeah, and you brought up like your chickens don't care how many homes you sell. We can apply that to our. Do they get like gourmet food when you sell more homes?
No.
But jokes aside, I think we can apply that to our family and our kids, our actual kids, not our pet kids. Like for example, I've really grown to love going and shooting basketball with Bentley, my son, and like could he become a pro basketball player one day? I don't know, maybe. I'm not going to discredit him, but like it's more of a hobby for him,
Right.
and it's just become a hobby for us. And I'm not good at basketball. I'm not going to be a pro basketball player, but I really love just going and shooting hoops. And if I constantly tell him, "Oh, well, Bentley, I'd love to go shoot hoops with you, but you know what? I got to work." Or even worse, if I tell him, "I'll go shoot hoops with you," and I'm shooting hoops, but I'm taking phone calls while I'm working, like
Yeah.
our kids are not going to later in life be like, "Yeah, my dad was awesome because he sold 40 houses that one year." They're not going to say that. Now, of course, we have to provide, and through those vehicles of real estate, that's how we earn a financial income so that we can do fun things. But looking at hobbies, our kids are going to remember those times where like me, I used to go shoot hoops with my dad. In fact, I freaking sunk two in a row long full court shots, Jacqueline. The last
Wow.
time we went and shot two in a row.
Hey,
And
NBA.
we are never going to forget that moment. We are never going to forget that moment. And he was laughing so hard. And it's just from like a simple hobby of shooting basketball, right?
I love that so much.
And I
Uh,
think that back to the no time thing, right? Like that's a story. That is a story we need to not tell ourselves any longer. If we don't have time for the things that we love in our life, we probably need to readjust. And if you say to yourself, and I'm probably super guilty of this, "Oh, Jacqueline, I'd go spend 30 minutes shooting hoops with my kid, but I just don't have time." You
mhm.
could probably say something to me like, "You don't have time? Well, let's take a look at your screen time on your phone and see how much time you spent that
Yeah,
was not actually working."
yeah.
Because we do have the time, we're just not
We just
prioritizing it.
spend it on other things. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that, when you're, at least for me as a mom, I always felt like, you're getting up, you're getting the kids going, you're going to, getting them off to school, you're going to work, then you come home, you're making dinner, the laundry's piling up. I mean, the list is like never ending. And yeah, sometimes it can feel like I don't have time to do a hobby, or that it's somehow selfish to do a hobby or do things to take care of ourselves. And I think, if you really care about the people in your life and what you do and everything, if you do understand that, okay, this truly does help me be a better mom, if you and you could incorporate your kids, but it's just bringing that like creativity and the curiosity and play, like just being like playful. I had gotten to the point where I used to be so playful, and then I got to the point where I was always just so serious, And I've been really just trying to get back to like, hey, enjoy life, like laugh, like the works. Yeah, there's going to be never ending things forever if you look at it that way. But but we can make time, and it does make us better all around. So even if you're not quite at the point yet maybe where you're going to do this for yourself, because like for me it took a little bit before I was willing to do things for myself. If you're not willing to do it for yourself, do it for the people that you care about. Find something fun that your kids like. I love that you're doing basketball with Bentley, and but make sure that it's something that you really like to do. I really like to do puzzles.
Right.
The only time I really do them though is around Christmas time. But why? Why can't I do a puzzle in March if I want to do a puzzle in March?
Why do you usually do them around Christmas time?
I don't know. I think it's just like the tradition, and mentally, I guess I like give myself permission. I usually take some time off around, the holidays. And so I do like to do puzzles, but why can't I do a puzzle, on a Tuesday? Wow. Imagine that. Like doing a puzzle.
I'm guessing a reason you don't do puzzles during the week or on a Tuesday is because you don't want to have a space that's not super pretty, and you don't want like a puzzle like just out in the middle of the living room.
You
I
know,
might have some. So,
you know me.
so like asking ourselves what are, some people might think back to question number 2. Well, Jacqueline, I would do a hobby, but I don't have any hobbies.
Mm.
There's a lot of things that we can do, a lot of little things like reading or like chess, or games. And there's if you don't have someone to play these games with, you can do them on your phone. And finding ways to attach them to fun things that we're doing with our family. For example, like learning a language. Like I've really enjoyed doing Duolingo with a kid. Finding things that you can do with your partner. You go for a walk, or maybe you listen to a book, or you listen to something and then you talk about that, or maybe you do gardening, or maybe you do music, or maybe you cook. Like I think of as cooking as a hobby. I love cooking on Sunday afternoons and sometimes put a podcast on. So I think it's easy to overlook, oh, I don't have any hobbies. But all those things that I just listed off are things that maybe they're things that we do already. How can we turn them into a little more joyful of a thing that we do? Like find a little joy in your cooking if you can. Find a little joy in playing some music, searching for the right album, searching for the right song, sharing that song with the person that you love. So there are a million hobbies out there that we can find, and there is time to do it. And we know the scientific benefits of reducing your stress level and giving you more energy. So stop saying you don't have the time, dang it, and do those things that you love.
I love it. And I love all the ideas that you just listed off. And I'll give 2 rules to all of you overachievers out there. Your hobby cannot be your work.
Yeah.
And it cannot be scrolling. Like, oh, well, I just have a hobby of like going on TikTok. No, that does not count. Now, maybe you are researching a hobby and you might watch some videos about the hobby. That's okay, actually,
Right.
because that they've said that even has similar effects of actually doing the hobby is learning about the hobby. So, like if you were researching something, or like I said, watching a YouTube video on it or something like that, that actually, if that's all you have time for some days, that's okay. You could like read some stuff about paddle boards, or like for me, I'll share a secret with you. I have a new hobby, and then I know we have to go. My new hobby is collecting vintage Christmas ornaments.
Really?
Yeah, because I decided that I want to have something to pass down to my kids. And like I want to give them something to fight over, And so
I can just see your boys like throwing
yeah,
dukes. I want
it's so funny.
Rudolph.
I have all boys, so like I doubt they're gonna fight over my Christmas ornaments. But what this does is like I've been like researching, and then if I'm traveling, like I can go into a cool like shop, and like even like my parents, my mom, it gives her something, even like when she's going around, she likes to thrift, like to keep an eye out for me. So it's kind of involving other family members in my hobby too. And it's just been fun. I just started it this last Christmas, so I'm excited. By the time I, pass away, I want to have one of those like crazy, like god awful, like Christmas trees that are just like packed full of like crazy ornaments.
Boys are gonna be looking at each other like, dude, what does mom do? Like, what do we do? What do we do with all these?
But it's a fun hobby, for me. And so there you go. We've shared a lot of ideas. I hope at the very least we've made you think differently about hobbies today. And maybe we'll hear from some of you, and you can share some of the new hobbies that you pick up as a result of this episode. Share this episode with an overachiever that you love that needs to get a hobby. Right, Ryan?
That's right. Share it with somebody that knows they have things in their life that they love to do. They're just not, quote, finding the time to do it, but they're getting a little grumpy because they're a little stressed out, just subtly share this episode with them. And you can share all our previous episodes at winmakegive.com. And of course, you can find both Jacqueline and myself on all social media platforms, Jacqueline Ray Smith and Ryan Park Greigg. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone.